So welcome to this new live stream. This time, because we're Friday, I was thinking about doing something a little more down to earth, a bit more cool, less heavy. In the same way, something different that what I was doing before with all those streams during the week. And so here, for those of you who are new to this stream, this is the place where we explore what AI economy would look like. Basically, what will happen to our systems, to our economy, to our reality, to the way we live when AI will be fully integrated within our system, will be fully used. In the same way we use the internet right now. Internet is fully integrated within our systems, within our economy, and everything that goes with. So that said, I'm Ilya Lamin, and this is the place where we explore AI economy. By economy, I'm not talking about all of those investments into all of those AI startups and all of this. How can I say it? All of this hype around AI, around AI investments. I'm not gonna talk about which company will win during the next AI hype. That's not gonna happen. And I'm not gonna also talk about all those fearful theories about AI, how AI will get over our reality, and we're gonna end up being jobless. That's not gonna happen. And I'm not gonna talk about how AI going to eliminate humans. I'm not talking about how AI going to become sentient. This is not the place for it. We're gonna hear the idea here and why I decided to go public with those live stream is that I see that there's a lot of hype and whatever it's good, like excitement, over excitement about AI, like AI gonna to do everything you need basically, and a lot of fear. And that's create a completely distorted reality about how technology evolves in our civilization. Because when you understand how our civilization evolved, and obviously our technology, our civilization is, I'm talking about mostly Western civilization, is technologically driven, and technology influences every aspect of our lives. It influences our economy, it influences our politics, it influences the way we live, it influences the way we interact with people. It also influences the quality of life and also the mentality and the culture that we ultimately have. So that said, what's important to understand is we need to have some level of clarity, and we need to take it in a very sober way and see the reality how it is basically, and not some kind of fantasy based on some people that want you to sell some idea, whatever it's investment into a startup or whatever, I don't know. So some ideas about, the post-labor economics where there will be no more jobs. I've been talking about this, multiple times. All those things are, how can I say that? Those are fantasies. They're not grounded into reality. I've been working in multiple companies. I've been working on multiple projects. I'm highly involved in how companies evolve, how systems evolve, how projects evolve, how specific technology are being adopted. And I could say that a lot of what we hear in media and even in social media, it's way too exaggerated and really distorted. Just taking AI, and all those technology before AI, it was the internet. What tend to happen is that we overestimate the speed at which the adoption will happen. That's for sure, including AI. That's why we have like an AI bubble, a financial bubble. It's just overinvestment based on promises. The adoption cycles for technologies are much longer than what we think. That said, we also underestimate the capability that a specific technology could offer us once, and that's important, once it is adopted. Now, the capabilities of AI are tremendous. The only problem is that it will take much more time for the technology to evolve, mostly the computational power. The microchips need to be much more powerful than we have right now. The computational power, we don't have enough computational power, and this is why it's expensive. All those prompts, or running AI is expensive. Basically, it requires a lot of electrical energy. Why? Because the microchips are simply not fast enough. They don't have enough power. That's the only thing. In the same way, when internet started in the 1990s, obviously internet wasn't fast enough, and internet wasn't practical. And if you go back to the old article from the 1990s, you'll see a lot of companies complaining. Well, not only complaining, they saying internet is an interesting technology that say it add no productivity to our operations or to what we're doing. There's no increase in productivity, which is normal. I mean, first things first. Nobody knew in the 1990s how to really use internet. That's first thing. Second, again, technological limitation. We didn't know how. It was too slow. It was just too slow. You could, browse, and kind of find some text here and there, maybe some images. In best cases, you could download very small, basically videos of 10, 20, 30 seconds. I don't know. But you cannot exchange content. It was just slow. There's, the amount of data that you could carry through the internet was really limited. In the same way, AI is limited right now with the microchips that are not powerful enough. We don't have enough computational power, and that limits what AI could really offer. That limits what AI should really be as a co-pilot, as something that is always in the background, is always listening, always helping you on one side. On another side, offers you things that we cannot even imagine right now. So that said, you see there's a lot of limitations, obviously, when each time when new technology appears. And another thing that's really important and nobody's talking about is that, you see, AI doesn't replace people. I mean, that's a complete misunderstanding. It doesn't replace people. It doesn't eliminate jobs. It eliminates specific tasks. So if what you're doing when it comes to your job are specific tasks that could be automated, could be replaced or partially replaced by AI, well, you are in kind of a trouble. That said, a job, a position in a company, even an occupation, it's not only one task; it's multiple tasks that you should accomplish. Why people complain right now, especially developers, when it comes to the software? Yes, developers. Yes, AI could generate code basically. That said, when it comes to software development, it's not only about generating code. It's about making decisions. It's about understanding, the software architecture, understanding how all the components fits together, Having a vision, having an understanding of customer client needs. There's also the UI UX aspect, which is the user experience. So there's multiple things related to even a software development that AI, unfortunately, doesn't matter how powerful it is, cannot really cover. I mean, AI will not take responsibility and decisions on the place on behalf of people, obviously. And this is why some developers that wanted to pretty much specialize, and the only thing they wanted to do, instead of getting some soft, what we call soft skills, which are not really soft, those skills are interpersonal relational skills that I think every human needs to have. But there's some people that say to themselves, no, I mean, the only thing I wanted to do, very often they have this mathematical perception, which is good, which is a gift. I wanted to do code, and I wanted to code in my corner, and please nobody disturbing me because I don't want to deal with humans and really abstract things that has nothing to do with me. Good, amazing. Well, you see, AI, and I know there's a bunch of limitations when it comes to what, in terms of generating code, what AI could offer at this point. But AI could generate more and more code. So I mean, those people will be challenged in a way they haven't been challenged before. And obviously, when you could generate code, probably you don't need 30 developers. You need maybe 5 developers that also understand a couple of other things other than only generating, only understanding and not only coding but understanding code and programming. So the resources, instead of focusing the resources on the development side, a software company will focus the resources on user experience, on architecture, on customer management or customer satisfaction. There's a bunch of things that a company can focus resources into instead of focusing them strictly on manually coding software. That's one of the misconception, and also one of the things that happens right now. A lot of companies that I hear from, yes, I mean they don't need developers anymore. They have a couple of developers, but they need you everything related to user experience. They need more and more people in that sphere. They also need more project managers. They need more architects, IT architects. They also need more client managers and everything that's related to understanding the client needs. So you see, there's a displacement of jobs, not necessarily an elimination of jobs in the way we understand it. Now, AI, including every time a kind of a baseline technology comes, it comes with in the same way the internet came. It comes with challenges, and those challenges need to be addressed by people. But it also comes with new capabilities. And one of the misconceptions that a lot of people have, unfortunately, and I'm saying that not because I know more than other people, it's just because I've been experimenting and simulating a lot of eventualities with technologies like AI, other technologies also, including augmented reality. So I'm doing a lot of experience just to understand the capabilities of technologies and how they could be applied on a very practical level. And something that you tend to notice and observe and understand over time is that each time a new technology comes, which is kind of a new effective technology comes that gives us new capabilities. With new capabilities, what happens is that our needs get satisfied in a certain way. Once our certain needs are satisfied, what happens is that our needs evolve in a multiple way, on a multiple dimensions. So when our needs evolve because new technology came, it gives us some capabilities that we didn't had, or whatever we didn't have. Maybe we had it, but it was too expensive. So each time it happens, our needs evolve, and each time our needs evolve, it creates new companies, new sectors, new industries, or sometimes even new economies, because somebody needs to satisfy those new needs that were created when that specific technology gave us new capabilities. And this is why I think this idea of post labor, or that we won't need we have will have not enough jobs or not enough occupations for people, it's a false idea. It's a false idea because uh, you just need to see how our civilization evolved. Like in the at the start of 20th century, um, men, when it comes to clothing, men usually had two shorts. Uh, you know, that's how it was. And there was a people were kind of afraid. uh, we're talking about the 1910s or even 1900s. People were concerned about the fact that what will happen with overproduction of clothes. um, because obviously, at the time men had, in base cases, like two shorts, two pair of pants, something like that. um, but what happened during the 20th century is that our needs evolved, actually. And I'm sure you have, every one of you have multiple t-shirts, we have jeans, we have all kind of clothes with all kind of occasions that we use. uh, and it's more than two pieces, I'm sure of that. So you see, that's a great example. That's a great example. And this is what, at the time where, we there was a lot of automation, a lot of innovation when it comes to textile. And obviously we had overproduction of textile, but we created, I mean, shorts and t-shirts and everything that we use over time became much more affordable and cheaper, and we could afford to buy you know multiple pieces of clothes, basically. And our needs obviously evolved. So in the same way with AI, I mean, yes, a lot of people are afraid that AI automate some cognitive capabilities. First of all, it doesn't replace human. It's because it's basically AI mimics. It's an information synthesizer, so it mimics human. It could mimic human emotions. It could mimic a lot of things that humans do, because at the end, emotions, sensations, thinking, all that could be reduced into mathematical patterns, probabilistic patterns, whatever it is. And AI could mimic that. AI could also give us, because it's an information synthesizer, it could give us this vision, or this awareness of things, of blind spots, but that we don't really see, because we filter our reality through our systems of beliefs, through the way we were conditioned. And obviously we don't see the reality the way the reality is. We see the reality the way, how can I say that, we were educated since the childhood to see. Yeah. Now AI, okay, AI is not perfect. It has some biases, but believe me, AI will be able to see things that probably you don't see. about you, about what externally happens, and about a lot of things that probably you perceive differently. Now that's one of the advantages, and that's why I think that if the social media became more toxic, unfortunately, I think the AI will be the antidote for that, and we'll see reality in a different way. We'll understand ourselves. We'll understand how externally we are, and we will gain much more awareness. I see AI as a lens to give us more awareness about what's really going on. Now, you see, when it comes to AI, and also why I wanted to do those streams, and I will continue to do those streams, because I think people need to understand what's really going on the field, and not being influenced by a lot of individuals that just wanted to sell some stocks to their startups, or some fantasies that unfortunately has nothing to do with reality, and it kind of harms a lot of people right now. So why AI feels different from previous technologies, even early internet? Mainly because we see the way it automates cognitive abilities, and we think that if we automate some cognitive abilities that AI basically mimics, it's the first time that we have like information synthesizer. We think that it's gonna eliminate what we're doing, but we kind of need to understand that what AI does is it kind of automates the coordination of decisions. It's organizing judgment. Now you could say, well, if it automates the coordination of decisions, if it organizes judgment, this means we're gonna become lazy. We're not gonna make any decisions. We're gonna become less critical. Well, actually, that's not really the case. The only thing it's going to do is to remove that cognitive load by all of the information that we're overloaded with the help, mostly because of the internet. Because the internet, what it did, it automated the coordination of information. It's actually organizing information, and it create the information accessible. Now, accessibility doesn't mean it help us to make better decisions. Actually, I will argue that it's the contrary. I think we're overloaded with information. We have more information that we humanly could absorb. We have more information that we are physically could even make some sense by using our physical brains. This is why AI is kind of, I will not say the filter, but maybe the digestion system of information, or I would say even data. And I think it would offer us a way to better make decisions and to have a much clearer view of what's going on. So the difference between using AI as a tool and working alongside AI, and so this is something important that I always trying to kind of put forward, is that a lot of people think AI is mostly as well. Actually, even right now, they're using AI as a vending machine or as a glorified search engine, and it's just not. It's wrong. It's wrong. That's not what true AI capability is. You see, AI should be used as a copilot, because if you use the AI as a vending machine, basically what you do is you prompt it, you send an instruction, and you expect something amazing to happen. And sometimes it gives you something interesting, but you use it in a highly limited way. And in the same way, if you use it as a glorified search engine, you could, you could all if you use it to get a recipe of pasta or whatever it is, you could just go on Google on search engine and it gives you the best recipes of pasta. I mean, that's not um, the real power of AI, the real value of AI. Because the real value of AI is to be used as a copilot, is to be used as an agent that is always gets data about your context, about what you're living, what you're going through, what your challenges, how you doing, how you're not doing, all those things. It needs to get as much data as possible. It needs to see what you see. It needs to hear what you hear. It needs to, understand your behavior, what you do, what you're not doing. All of that creates what we call context awareness. And obviously with AI, with AI tools right now, with AI, as ChatGPT, Gemini, or whatever tool you're using, unfortunately they are highly limited, because it's just right now where when the last versions of those tools started to have some context awareness, which is highly limited, by the way. And you still have a lot of friction, because you to all of those tools, you have to send them, you have to manually, how can I say that, you have to manually interact with them, you have to trigger them manually, so that they will observe that data that will create that context awareness. Before that, I mean, even with ChatGPT, you get a chat. When you close the chat, well, actually you lose all the contextual data that you gave to that tool, to that AI tool, basically, to that AI, which is quite frustrating, because that's the real power of AI. Context awareness is the basis of truly practical AI, because what it does is actually, it's supposed to run in the background. It's just helping you. You don't even need to prompt it or to send an instruction to it. You could do that, but that's not the idea. It should just help you while you're doing whatever you need to do, while you acting, while you're doing anything you wanted to do, basically. It needs to help you. It needs to be your personal assistant. That the true power of AI. It needs to give you the awareness that probably you don't have, the understanding you don't have, and it needs to be specific to your case. That's really the power of AI, actually. So how AI quietly integrates before it becomes obvious. Yeah, that's a process by itself. AI will not become a copilot until it has enough computational power. When it has enough computational power, then when microchips will become powerful enough, then we'll have context awareness, and then we could see that you don't need to prompt AI. AI will just work in the background and just help you with whatever you need to be helped. In the same way, nobody today, will go on the internet. The internet is just all the apps, all the software that we're using is just connected to the internet. We take it as for granted, basically, right now. Our phones are connected to the internet, our mobile devices, even tablets, are connected to the internet. All the apps using the internet, even desktop computer. All of that actually use the internet. In the 1990s, we had to manually connect by using dial-up. For those of you that are old enough, we had to manually connect to the internet. Right now, it's just not the case. We are kind of internet is working in the background basically. In the same way, AI to be effective, it needs to work in the background. It just helps you whenever you need to be helped. So why most AI impact will feel gradual, not explosive? Well, again, technological limitation. Technological limitation. First things first, the technology need to evolve. Right now, we're highly limited. And second, we need to learn how to use AI. Even today, people think that, well, people didn't think that everyone is using AI. Well, actually, it's not the case. Even the people that have AI on their phone, on their mobile devices, they're not really using AI. They maybe will use it once a week. I mean, in the same way that, in the 1990s, sometimes people were, from time to time, we're going to the internet to search for some information, but only very few people, it's just a small minority, maybe a couple of percent within the whole population, are using AI on a daily basis. And if I will ask you the question, how many of you using AI as a real copilot? What do I mean by that? This means each time you have any challenge, if each time you're going through some life experience, whatever it's on a professional level, on a personal level, doesn't matter. You share it with AI. And AI actually helping you whatever you need, with ideas, with some direction, with some options. How many of you are using AI in this way on a daily basis, from the morning to the evening? Multiple time having this back and forth dialogue with AI. And for that, obviously, you need to have probably the last versions, paid versions of this AI tool, because the unpaid versions are not just simply not powerful enough to give you enough things and have this context awareness, which is highly limited, but at least better than nothing. How many of you are doing that? Well, based on my research and based on what I see, probably, definitely less than half of the percent of people, maybe even a couple of percentage of people from those that have AI installed on their mobile devices, laptops, mobile devices, are really using AI as a real copilot. I don't have the real numbers, but from what I see, each time I'm giving a presentation and I'm asking that question, how many of you are using AI in this way? Within maybe 100 people, there will be one that will say, maybe I'm using it, and then I'm asking that question like, okay, well, how many interactions you had with AI? And he will say like, maybe, today I didn't really use it. Well, that's not, you didn't use it as a copilot. It's like saying, well, today I have, my mobile phone wasn't connected to the internet. How did you use all those apps? In the same way, it's just make it sense. We are at the very, very early stages of AI adoption, and it will take years. It will take years to really have a full adoption of AI. That's for sure. And it will be quietly. It will be highly, highly gradual. What we're gonna see, probably the AI, I don't know when the AI financial bubble will pop up, but it will pop up because there was just too much investment into AI, and obviously people thought that it will be adopted, integrated within all our economy in in a couple of months, basically, which basically not, it's not the case. It will take years to be integrated. It will take years for the technology to evolve, and everything that goes with it. In the same way, the internet, when it happened, we had the dot-com boom at the end of the 1990s, and then people say, well, internet is amazing, but it has a lot of limitations, and well, it's a nice gadget, but it's not for me. But at the same way, it gradually evolved and into, and it's actually, it's after the dot-com boom that gradually we saw a gradual evolution, mostly because of the hardware. The internet became faster, and we saw the evolution of social media, sharing of content, and all those apps that we're using right now. So it will be a gradual process. Now, what people misunderstand most about AI right now, it's the same thing that I said. Like, the biggest misunderstanding is what AI really is, and what AI isn't. And I said it before. I mean, AI, it's not a vending machine. It's not a glorified search engine. It's a copilot, and it needs to be used as a copilot. It's an infrastructure. It's not a specific tool. It's not a specific product. I know right now a lot of companies are trying to sell it as a product, but it's more of an infrastructure other than anything else. Now, where resistance to AI actually comes from, when it comes to psychological, and it's mostly psychological. There's a lot of resistance to AI because we think it's gonna replace us, which is kind of not the case. It's not gonna replace us. It's gonna augment us. In the same way, I remember in the 1990s, there was like this idea that internet was gonna replace books. We won't need any more books. We will not read any journals. It's gonna replace paper. Now, ultimately, obviously, with the advent and with the appearance of AI, not AI, but mobile devices, it gradually replaces. It replaced journals, the paper journals that we used to see. Yeah, it did. Maybe not books, at least not for now, but journals and a lot of things that related to, practical, because you see, when it comes to, in the 1990s, we didn't have mobile. We had desktop computers. The problem with desktop computers, you cannot transport them. With journals, with paper, one of the abilities that you could have content and information that could be easily transportable. Well, when the mobile devices came, well, you could easily transport your phone in your pocket and read whenever you need to read. And this is where all the journals and everything, the paper, carrier of information, became obsolete. But not in the 1990s, obviously. Actually, the sales of magazines and journals just increased with AI, not with AI, with the internet in the early, in the 1990s, but also in the early 2000s. Up to the point where the mobile devices appeared, and then we had, again, paper became more and more obsolete. And that's actually what happened. So in the same way with AI, I mean, it's not gonna replace people, at least not right now. It's gonna gradually displace a lot of the occupations and a lot of the jobs that we have. That's what's going to happen, but it's going to happen gradually, highly gradually. Probably we won't even notice up to a point where we're gonna think, oh my gosh, yeah, I think, the, you know, the old professions will probably will have the same names, but people will not do the same task anymore. So now, why decision making is the real shift, not automation? Because you see, AI, what it does, it's organizing judgment. In the same way, internet organizes information and it makes it available. AI makes decisions, and even, you know, it enhances judgment, obviously, but it creates the ability to take decisions easier because it adds clarity. On a very fundamental level, what AI is, it's an information synthesizer. And probably it's the first time that we have this experience, first experience in our history, with a tool that gives us a real practical way to synthesize information. And obviously that's gonna be the real game changer for every industry, actually, because in every industry, we as employee or people that work in, doesn't matter what occupation you have, even if you're not in a management position, or if you're not in an executive position, even if you're working in a warehouse, even in that case, even in that position, you still need to make decisions, and multiple decisions during the day. But imagine you have a tool that, you know, gives you clarity when it comes to what decisions you need to take. That's where it's become very interesting, and that's where the whole economy will have to adapt to this. And we all at this point, we just, I think I understand only a couple of glimpses of how the future will look like. And obviously, it's difficult to imagine what specific industry will be created. I mean, when the internet came, who thought that we'll have a whole industry, a whole sectors around what today is called social media, which is basically a distributed way of, and high, which basically a mass media, a distributed mass media, so to speak. This is what social media is. But who thought that it will be a thing? Who thought that there will be a whole new industries that will be created on top of it, because of it? Nobody knew that. I mean, in the 1990s, everyone thought that each person, each company needs to have their own little website, and it's gonna replace basically everything related to paper, which ultimately it did, but it did on some way. But we underestimate the capabilities, and it's difficult to really understand what new industries will appear. We could have a glimpse of what it will be, but still very difficult, despite all the simulations that I'm doing right now, to really understand where we're going and what will be the new industries that will be created on top of this infrastructure that we call AI. Now, why decision making is the real shift, not automation? Because obviously AI will automate the 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 the, the coordinations of decisions by itself. And what today's AI limitation tell us about tomorrow's possibilities? That's an interesting question. And this is somebody actually. I'm reading questions that people are asking me. Now, what's today's AI limitations tell us about tomorrow's possibilities? Yeah. Well, the first limitations are, it's pretty much the technological limitations. Once the computational power becomes uh, once the microchip becomes basically much more powerful, and we have more computational power. Obviously, we won't have the same, those challenges and problems with the fact that it's too expensive to run all those AI prompts, and each time making AI working is highly expensive right now. But all those limitations we won't have. But and it will give us so many capabilities that we simply don't have, just because of computational power. In the same way, internet was slow in the 1990s. Once we had the broadband internet with a high-speed connection, then I mean the whole thing just exploded. We could share content. We could share. We've been able to have all those platforms, all that social media wouldn't be possible without a fast internet, because you won't be able to share, you know, all those images, videos, soundtracks, whatever it is, without without a fast internet. In the same way, the computational power, when the computational power will increase, and we're at the very early stages, we still have the electronic microchips. What will happen when we eventually gonna shift, and we're gonna shift into photonic microchips, which are highly much will be much faster, will have much more processing power, and they also virtually don't emit heat. And this is why, this is why, you know today's microchip, today's data centers require so much energy, because all that energy is to cool down the microprocessors, most of it to cool down the microprocessors. So with the photonic microchips, we don't well, technically speaking, we won't even need to have data centers, because everything will be kind of, you could place photonic microchips almost everywhere. They'll be embedded in almost everything. I mean, the walls on in your house could be become basically a data center, if you want to. That's how powerful things will become, and that's how different things will be. Um, and obviously, this is the evolution, or everything is related to the evolution of hardware, and then the software will be what it will be. So why it's okay not to have a clear answers yet? Obviously, we don't have any clear answers. What I'm attempting to do, and many people like me are attempting to do, is to have a clear picture of what will happen in the future. And for that, obviously, we observe, we experiment with technology, we simulate. We're doing a lot of simulations when it comes to, you know, understanding on a system level, and how technology will evolve, and how it will be integrated within existing systems, and how people needs will also evolve when we have specific technologies that are integrated within our economy. So it's highly exciting, and I hope you know you're gonna enjoy the point of view or the excitement that I enjoy doing all of those things. And I'm going to continue doing broadcasting, obviously live, doing those live streams to basically, mm, you know, giving some clarity, and hopefully help a couple of you to better understand where we're going, and not being too influenced by all that delusional excitement and that hype, and a lot of things, and also all the fearful beliefs about AI. It doesn't really help. It's actually it distorts our reality, and it doesn't serve us in any ways, in in a substantial way. So on that, if you have any questions, any comments, leave them in the comments section. I will see you tomorrow. Tomorrow, I'm preparing a live stream. We're gonna talk more about the how AI will be adapted into the professional, the knowledge work, because a lot of you, I know a lot of you are working as a professionals. You're working as knowledge, um, knowledge occupation. So how it will influence your day-to-day life, and what will be different when AI going to be fully adapted. And I think that's something that it's gonna help you a lot in the coming years. So on that, thanks a lot for tuning in. Thanks a lot for listening.